I worked at JP Morgan, and I felt like, this doesn't align with my values anymore. I'm going to leave this line of work. And so I moved out of that into the world of entertainment. Mark, you were at Feinberg doing medicine, and you're like, you know what? There's something more just that I want to do, something more impactful that I want to do. You were a Feinberg Medical School student on your way on a path that everyone else wants, and you're like, no, I'm going to take a U-turn and do something different here. And that, I think, with all the incubators popping up, with the startup community, with Silicon Valley, there's just with Google and a lot of the stuff at Google and Facebook, where the employees will revolt depending on what Google and Facebook and others are doing with the government or with the Pentagon or whatever. You're just seeing a huge impact that values are being led by the American business community, not by Washington. Huge shift. It's just starting. Just you wait. It feels like this thing's about to take off in a way that I don't know what it's going to look like, but honestly, I kind of like it. I prefer the power to start to be, at least for values, to start to be removed from Washington, because I don't think it's working very well there, and put into the hands of the business community. It just seems to make more sense to me. It seems more aligned. They're the ones who are making the money, not DC. So they're the ones making the innovation. I just don't think DC has a big impact on the economy. It's more innovation. It's more the global economy. It's more interest rates. So with that, go ahead, Mark. Were you say something?
No, I mean, just interesting. I mean, that's Washington and people in government are there to be public servants, right? That's the
and
title.
Serve they do, Mark.
And serve they do. And serve they do. But yeah, so sorry, what you were gonna ask?
So let's talk about MyIRE. So we have an idea of the seed of MyIRE. You leaving Feinberg, you working with your dad in research, you saying we need to have a system here that links the new 2018 world with this old research world, and you begin this journey of retraining as a computer scientist, building a software application, a web application, if I'm not mistaken, and then bringing on a partner, Mark Schindel, as your CFO, to help you start pounding the pavement and getting this company off the ground. Does that sound right?
Kinda. I wish it was that streamlined, but that's
right.
Yeah.
The last part is a very small part of the story. Yeah. But.
No. Yeah, that pretty well gets it. It wasn't the start wasn't quite that, that smooth, right? It started out of necessity, right? It started out of seeing the same thing over and over, and that causing a problem in my life, and that causing a lot of interactions, and I get called in the dean's office like 5 or 6 times, right? So it's like it was just
in medical school.
Yeah, well, so you start asking. Here's the thing: what you might not know about medical school is one of the first things they teach you is. One thing you might not know about medical school is it's not just teaching you about how to be a doctor, or I guess it really is, but it's the business of medicine. They indoctrinate you very quickly into the business of medicine, and it becomes very clear and apparent where
that sounds ominous.
It is. It absolutely is. It's not about. Wish I could say it was all about helping people, but there's a business behind it. Money-driven medicine. It's absolutely there.
And that rankled you in some way?
It disappointed me. Okay. I would say disappointed my idealism, right? Like I understand it's necessary to have organizations and groups that support doing all of these functions, but it was a real shocker as to just how really in your face that was. So, and you start asking some questions about, well, what if we were to do it a little bit differently? And sorry, that's not how it's done. Maybe if you go down and, try and get some different action, whatever it is, but it's commercialized at this point. The United States has a very commercial healthcare system.
Okay, so you saw that at 20x years old, 27, 26, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you said, damn it, I'm going to do something about this.
Yeah, I said, this is awful. This is not what I signed up for at all. I'm paying $100,000 a year for somebody else to tell me how to think because that's what works with the current economic model. And that just didn't sit well with me. And so you start asking enough of those questions and you realize everybody's going down that path. And I just wasn't, it didn't sit well with me. So I took I saw a different road.
Yeah, okay. And that route was what? Why did you think making scientific research or medical research way more efficient and powerful? Why did you think that was the answer to making money medical, whatever the term was,
Really, really good book called Money Driven Medicine.
Money Driven Medicine.
If you have not read it, it's a really good primer on medical economics and how we actually got here, starting way back. But it really came down to so you got to bring it back to the time, right? There wasn't actually a large scale adoption yet of electronic medical records. Even now, we haven't yet completely done that. I mean, we were at a place just a couple days ago, and they were talking about, well, we have one electronic medical record, we're going to a new one, and then we're not going to have, the past 25 years of records. That's real. That's a real problem.
Oh, when they transition, they're going to lose all the last 25 years?
Yeah. I mean, that's real. That's real. That is a real thing that happens in our daily medical life.
Sounds like that company's living in 1978, man.
So healthcare is a slow moving beast because you can't have that Silicon Valley move fast and break things mentality. I mean, we saw it in the past couple of days, right? Is like, I don't know if you saw it, but I mean, there was some sort of a pacemaker device or that had a vulnerability, and it's like you could actually hack into someone and stop their heart via software. That's not a joke. That's absolutely real. And so they had to patch this update, and it's
that happened on an episode of Homeland.
I mean,
you watch a lot of patriotic television.
I mean,
Mark Schindel.
It's very real.
And by the way, I would never, ever want to have a pacemaker that could get hacked, especially during an election.
Right.
Because the
so
Russians would be all over my heart.
Yep.
I mean, so here's the thing, right? Like, if your iPhone gets hacked, okay. If your tablet gets hacked, okay. If your smart speaker gets hacked, okay. If your smart TV gets hacked, okay. But
if your heart gets hacked,
that's a problem,
yeah.
right? That's a problem.
You know what? That's literally that's the devil.
Yeah, that's a bad thing, So the problem is you can't move so fast, and actually now we're starting to see more motion in that. But that really, I jumped because it was like I saw the current state of affairs, and I was like, this is so bad. I know I can do better. I know I can do better, and people said, okay, do it, and I did.
Okay.
So.
All right, got it. So that's clear. So MyIRE gets launched. I know this story about you because I was with you on this journey. You sit in your dorm room while going to Feinberg, and I think even some of your undergrad, and you just start coding away at an application called MyIRE, which stands for My Integrated Research Environment, which basically means you looked at all the, ragtag tools Northwestern, for example, was using to do scientific research, and you're like, what the hell is this? I'm going to make one. Mark Graves, I'm going to make one tool, fully integrated, that makes this whole process way more streamlined, efficient, and frankly, easier, and most importantly, accurate. Mm-hmm. That's what you did for several years in your dorm room, working away.
Mm-hmm. Pretty
Mark
much.
Zuckerberg, eat your heart out, baby.
Hey, you said you were spending more time coding than you were studying your.
Yeah, so I mean that was when I really got the opportunity, or decided to change roads. Was when I was actually studying for boards, and everybody else was studying and spending all of their time, actually, doing their work for school, and I was coding because I just saw this as being so much such a faster way to accomplish what I wanted to.
I'm picturing me and you. So I met Mark in men's therapy group. I'm going to share a personal story.
Go for it. It's all good.
It's called MKP, the Mankind Project. And I was like, oh, do I stay at JP Morgan? Do I leave? I'm not happy. And Mark was like, hat in hand. He was grabbing his hair. He's like, do I stay at Feinberg or do I leave? These guys are all studying for boards and I'm just working away and building this thing. And I was just like, wow, is he really doing that? And we all just kind of held up a mirror to Mark and we all held up a mirror to me. And we're all just like, do you all see that you have interests well beyond the work you're doing? You're just working here, but your interest is more like here. If you're not watching this on camera, that should make no sense to you at all. So yeah, I remember that. I remember this us sitting in a men's group therapy, meeting each other and discussing that, and we just hit it off after that because we're like on a similar trajectory of like figuring out what the hell we want to do, and find something more in line with our own values, our own heart. And so I remember those days where you're studying for boards and you're like, what am I doing? I don't want to be doing this. I'm just lying to myself. So